Welcome to Kalam Podcast, recording here from Ramallah on the occupied West Bank in Palestine. We're sitting in Sirdab studio, and I'm delighted and honored to be presenting today Ahmed al-Alaqra, a Palestinian curator. Thank you for taking the time from your schedule to speak with us today in Kalam Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today, and thank you guys for having us here today.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
So, Ahmed, you're a founder of Fanat Collective. Can you tell us what it is and why you founded it?
Okay, so basically, I didn't find Fanat by myself. It was
Co-founder.
A joint venture.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Yasmin also, and I think maybe looking back at those times when we were like maybe 5 years ago, things were very different here in Palestine, and particularly in Ramallah at that time, and we were immersed on the idea of a future Palestinian state. Not us particularly, but I mean living in Ramallah, in the de facto capital of the future state, we were surrounded by so many projects and visual representations of this future state of Palestine, which most of the Palestinian kind of reject. But we were not on board. I mean, most of us we were not on board in the Palestinian state to be found in 1967. But I mean, that was the project adopted by the Palestinian Authority. And at that time, me and Yasmin, we were just kind of contemplating the kind of visual representation of the Palestinian state project that we find in our everyday life, and kind of investigate or navigate the way this project creates symbols that and embody them in our everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And this came actually from when we were passing by the Muqata building, which is the presidential headquarters in Ramallah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big controversy at some time because the president wanted to bring olive trees to plant in front of the presidential headquarters, because it's an olive tree, it's the symbol of us and whatever it is. And what happened is that they tried so many times to plant them, and it didn't work. I mean, they kept dying.
Oh,
and
wow.
and in the Fallahin culture, this is a very bad luck in general. And from our
Not
starting,
so subtle symbol.
yeah, exactly. And that was our starting point. Like, why the presidential headquarters they want to plant olive trees in front of the thing? And from there we start to kind of contemplate the whole fetishization process or commodification process of our culture. How can you hallow a symbol and an icon and kind of reinvent it to kind of to sell your project and your state? I mean, we were looking at I come from a Fallahin, from a peasant family, and my father basically he left working in the land when he became 18, and he went to Jordan to study physics, which was weird. I mean, he was Fallahin and then he studies physics, and I don't know what's his rationale at that time, but anyway, and he told us, and he kept telling us that growing the land was part of his everyday practice, not because he likes the land or he is the land, not because this kind of emotion because it was essential for his survival. You kind of form a relationship with the land as you are in it, as you kind of benefit from it, and at the same time care for it. And along the time, we Palestinian and all the Levantian, I think, and all the Fallahin communities around the world, we know what kind of relationship it's formed or forged with the land in that sense. And at some point, with the development of the Palestinian project, we started to see how the land is being grabbed, and khalas, most of the people, they stopped working in the land. I mean, even sometimes now, olive harvest season, olive picking season, it became a festival rather than an actual practice,
Right.
So we were just investigating this kind of contradiction that exists in our everyday life, just to kind of understand how to prepare ourselves for what's coming next. Because all of us, I mean, if you're speaking with any Palestinian in the West Bank, we all anticipated the fall. I mean, everybody. I mean,
The fall
of everything. I mean, we knew that what we're living is not sustainable. Everybody knew.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
everybody knew. So we had this idea, let's kind of think of a future. Let's kind of reinvent our symbols. Let's kind of deconstruct, let's say. Let's kind of think of the processes. Why we reach here? I mean, why did we reach here? Why did we? Why are we selling our symbols to ourselves? I mean, why? I mean, what's the purpose of all this commodification process? Where does it lead us? And this is kind of our initial start. And then we grew to kind of do different projects, but they were all mainly concerned with the city, with the icons, with the symbols, with the visual representation of the power. What is power? So yeah, that's it.
What is your relationship to the land as someone from a peasant family, but your father studied physics and you work with art. You're a curator.
It's very deformed. Like I wouldn't tell you. I mean, it's not really very romanticized. I don't see myself as an extension of the land because I want to be real about it. Also, I want to be true to myself. I mean, there is an emotional connection that exists. I cannot pin it down. I don't know what it is. I feel it. I think because anybody who comes here and lives here, they will feel this. We feel it you feel it in the landscape. I mean, it's very much layered, the landscape here. I mean, in one time, I think a group of friends, we were sitting in the only place for Ainkini in Ramallah where you can go to the mountains, where you can see a lot of people eating maklube and Yom al-Jum'ah and all of this kind of thing. And just looking from that view, you would see a lot of trees sometimes very far away. And there is one particular scenery where there is a lot of trees covering like a top hill. And the settlement is not, I mean, you don't see the settlement very well. So sometimes
There's really settlement.
Yeah, you're deceived sometimes. You just think it's a little forest up there. And I was like once looking there, like contemplating whatever it is at that moment. And like, we saw this, I was looking at this tree and I was thinking, wow, it's like there's a beautiful forest up there. And then I remember, like, I saw the settlement, and then I realized that this part of the landscape is like, it's constructed or just constructed. It's alien. And suddenly from someone who was experiencing like a little bit of euphoria and emotion toward the piece of land, suddenly I'm just felt super alienated. And there is so much other layers because it's also a biblical place, and it's also the places of my family where I hear stories. So there's the personal, there's the biblical, there's the colonial, and there's the natural, and all of these, they are fought in very little space. And so for me, I would never come to you and say eventually that oh wow, Palestine is and is. My father can say this, by the way. I think once he told me, I mean, my father is a religious person, and he once told me like if I ever believe in God, and I mean I was a kid, I would say yes, and himself when I asked him the same question, he responded with yes, and upon my inquiry about the whys, he just said that he was seeing it in the way the cycle of life and death kind of grow. I mean, he would grow something, he would eat from it. He's part of a cycle that he saw God in it. He interpreted it as God and sure. Completely. I mean, where's the God in my life? Is it in these concrete jungles at the moment? Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. My relationship with this land is a very deformed. As many other Palestinians, super deformed, super twisted, but there is emotions.
Of course.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the deformities you're speaking about, and some of the contradictions that you've described, like in your personal life, and how you see things that bring you joy, but at the same time, kind of can flip and shock you when you realize the origins of them. Is this kind of what deconstruction is, or the kind of politics of deconstructive art, or however we want to define it?
The deconstruction is a way to distance ourselves from the image, to dwell on the process, because we're surrounded by end images all the time. Like we see the Palestinian flag, we see the watermelon at the moment, or we see a song, or we see a thing. And I think the problem of the end results most of the time that they kind of flatten the whole process. Whatever is the image and the body. And I think in communities, in forging a communities, it is important to have an image. Like societies, they create icons and symbols. But I mean, for people under liberation, I think it is important to kind of indulge in the process of making. And that's why, hence the deconstruction. The deconstruction deals with the image as a fragments of different processes, and we investigate them. So part of them is the contradiction as well. I mean, the contradiction is something that we live in. So we unveil contradictions in images. We unveil that the olive tree is not the olive tree that we seek. It's not a symbol of, I don't know, existence anymore. It carries within itself layers and layers of also oppression and also commodification and also contradiction and so many things. And we just untangle these things and kind of reproduce them in a way so people can actually consume this thing. We wanted to participate in the process of making images and making icons, but highlighting not the end image, highlighting all the process itself. So I can say that we are process-oriented people. I mean, regardless of the process, whether it's like collaborative or whether it's like a very narcissistic, we really love. We like the process is what matters for us. So and we thought at that time that for someone who living in Palestine, it's something essential to kind of. Understand the ways in which one can untangle things or dismantle these things, because it's so complex the landscape. I mean, even we know that, for example, there's a checkpoint, for example, but underneath the checkpoint there is so much layers. I mean, the settlements, why it's positioned there, there are so many things that in this land. I mean. That need to be unveiled to be order to understand, to be order to know, for people who need liberation, how to function. Sometimes it always kind of shock me that we keep repeating our mistakes in our history. It's like we never learn.
Yeah.
I mean, as Palestinian people who want liberation, and there is also something shocking, not shocking, but something like we are under occupation at this point. So. Things here are not normal, and they shouldn't be normal, and we should accept this, and we should acknowledge that. And there is no way for us to complain about us being in occupation, and that's something I came to kind of in peace with it a very long time ago. I mean, I would never assume that being a Palestinian living in Palestine would entail living normacy. Living normacy is unnatural. And that's why I told you there was a general feeling among all Palestinian young, small kids and things that what we were living was unnatural, was unholy, honestly. How can we? I mean, and looking at the things at the moment, how Ramallah is trying, for example, to make things look normal. Yani, I don't know if the people, they have this intention at the same time. It's just very, I mean, I know people are afraid in general. I mean, but I cannot just figure it out anymore. Why are we trying to normalize things? I mean, what do we want? I mean, where do we want to go? Do you want to go back? I mean, just now we were having a discussion about like what was in the back. I mean, these permits or these kind of permits to use the airport or permits to get your car. I mean, this was normal for us. This was the easy part for us, crossing the Alimi Bridge for like an hour and a half or paying VIB for hundreds. I mean, what was normal about that life?
Yeah.
So, sorry, sometimes I ran very far
totally
away,
fine.
so you have to stop me at that way.
So people studying the Palestinian issue and the Palestinian cause and the specific conditions that Palestinians, especially in the West Bank, live under, often we mentioned checkpoints, and I bring this up because you brought it up, and that it's a thing that's difficult to understand, even though it's just something we say. Oh yeah, and it's very difficult to move in the West Bank because there are so many checkpoints. But it's interesting to me that one would stop to think about what a checkpoint actually is and try to deconstruct it. So how would one go about deconstructing what a checkpoint is?
And during the second Intifada, the West Bank, I think, on an average day, I think it had around 600 functioning checkpoints, because there is some checkpoints we call here بحاسين طيارة, which is flying checkpoints, we call them. And like they just come and go, you know, like two soldiers, they come, they throw the spike on the ground, and they decided they want to do a checkpoint,
right.
you know.
Okay.
So at any day, at any rate, there is 600 maybe big and small checkpoints in the West Bank. And the thing about the checkpoint, for example, is they subject your behavior to a certain kind of rhythm. So you know that when you come close to the checkpoint, you have to slow the car a little bit, prepare your
turn
ID,
down the music.
Turn down the music, all of this kind of behavioral thing, you know, that over a long time, you start to do that by yourself. So one of the very funny story that there was a checkpoint between Ramallah and Birzeit during the second Intifada. And when the situation kind of loosened a little bit, the checkpoint remained a little bit, like the structure of the checkpoint, but nobody knew if there is a soldier inside or not. But people by themselves, they regulated themselves. You know, whenever they close to the checkpoint, they start to lower their speed, like kind of they police their body. I mean, there's this. I mean, I expect us to do that. I mean, after a long time being subjected to the same kind of violence, you will start your body will start to kind of regulate themselves by themselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's not only I mean, for me, the checkpoints, they're not only about the actual separation or actual rupture between 2 points and 2 times. They are also about the behavioral kind of change that they subject on us all the time. I mean, the way kind of also we measure time at the moment, and it's like very funny the way we measure time at the moment. I mean, in one day, I mean, the shift in time measurement. I mean, what would have taken you an hour now would have taken you 4 hours and a half, and you build your whole life around this new kind of time format. There are so many things about it that kind of extend beyond their the physicality, and I think at the moment. But also, I mean, what interests us at the moment is the way also ourselves, the Palestinian kind of we maneuver because we negotiate, and I mean, so we create these kind of infrastructures of communication where we kind of update each other about the roads. We open other roads from the back, you know, we open other roads from the big, and the more they kind of close the road, the more we open the road from the back. They close it, they find it, we open another one. I know they know. But we don't seem to kind of allow them just the joy of things. I mean, they make things harder for us, but it seems that we're still functioning. And I admire this about us, because after 75 years of people, I was about to curse, after like 75 years of people subjecting you to the same violence, still, I mean, look at us. I mean, we're still standing and surviving, and actually, part of what we wanted to work about in the past is also kind of to understand our way of how the way we counter this imposition of violence upon us in different way. These kind of like when Jerusalem was closed and the wall was built, a whole economy of smugglers, of stairs and things, of opening of abbarat, of shabak were created. I mean, which is something I really admire. I find that this is the core for a future liberation, is to understand the way we maneuver, understand the way we fight back, understand these things and build upon them, learn from ourselves and build upon that, rather than
what's here.
Yeah.
Sure. What about the conditions of working as a curator and working within the arts under military occupation?
I see. I mean, before the 7th, this was not that much difference from the rest of the world, honestly. See, I find. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is a very big question. I mean, post the 7th is completely different, and I don't think that institutional work, institutional art practices, they should even exist anymore in the way that in the times of urgency. I always wonder, I mean, why do we open exhibitions? Why do we produce art while people are dying at the moment? Why do we take grants, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to create any form of art while we can give the money to actual people in need? Yeah. I mean, they told me that when the explosion happened in Beirut, most of the cultural institution, they decided that they're not going to produce any projects anymore, and whatever money they have is going to sustain the individuals who actually work in the art sector, rather than kind of spending the money on projects and etc. etc. And I thought that this is really beautiful. Actually, this is, prioritizing the human over the product is something not very noble for me, and it's very rare in this new liberal time that we live in.
Sure.
And I thought that as a Palestinian we would actually kind of learn, but I think the Palestinian Authority corrupted us in the past kind of 30 years.
You think it's the authority that did that?
It really corrupted us. I mean, what's the purpose of having an exhibition at the moment? For whom are we having an exhibition? For people to come and know about what? About Gaza? To what? To think what? Aren't we seeing it televised at the moment as it happens? I mean, so for me, I personally had a big problem post the 7th of October, kind of digesting art in the way it is, particularly when it comes to institutional forms of art. I mean, I understand that individuals, they have their own practices, they navigate their life, they live their own contradiction, which is something I understand and I respect. But I mean, as an institution, they should fucking close their doors, all of them, one by one. I mean, there is no place for this intellectual masturbation to happen in the times of urgency. I'm sorry, and I work in the cultural institution, and I appreciate each individual who's trying to do anything there. I just cannot get around it. Why? I mean, why?
Yeah.
I mean, I was supposed to open an exhibition. The name was different at that time. It was called This Land Sings. It was about music in Palestine, musical practices in Palestine, because the exhibition assumed that there was no such thing as Palestinian music, but there is music.
Who assumed this?
Yeah, I mean, there is a music in Palestine, but there is no genre of Palestinian music per se. It's a Levantian kind of thing. But to have your own kind of genre of there's no such thing as Lebanese music or senior music.
Okay, sure.
So there is no such thing. There is, for example, Egyptian kind of very Egyptian kind of sound, or Iraqi sound. But I mean, and actually we thought it as an opportunity and a chance at that time to think of geography and to think of borders, because there's no such thing as Palestinian music, but we share it with a bigger thing. So it was another indication of kind of bringing back the fact that Palestine is bigger than the from the river to the sea, or whatever the sea and the river are. And it was supposed to open in November, and 7th of October happened, and we had a meeting like, do we make an exhibition about music at the moment? And absolutely there's no way we could have done that. I mean, it was so inappropriate to do that. I mean, it's like mocking the blood of the people at the moment. And we said, okay, let's kind of rethink it, do another iteration of it, and play it by ear. Let's wing it.
How's that going? What do you...
I mean, we are. There's another iteration of the exhibition, but I mean, it's still for me. It's still inappropriate to open an exhibition while war is still happening. I mean, if we are in Jordan, if you are in Lebanon, if you are in Europe, I think it's essential to kind of do that. But to kind of other Gaza, I mean, we in Ramallah, we're othering Gaza. I mean, we are 60 kilometers away, 65 kilometers away. I mean, brothers and sisters, and I mean, we're positioning ourselves in a different fight than them. By doing that, like, let's do an exhibition to showcase whatever. So the exhibition is supposed to be speaking about, which is a very beautiful exhibition at the moment. I mean, the materials inside and everything that entails actually really powerful. It talks about music in Palestine, particularly when it comes to revolution, but we don't perceive revolution as the only revolution. No, it's not revolution anymore. We changed the name. It's called resistance. Because revolution is a very ambiguous term that somehow is problematic now. So we celebrate al-Muqawamah, and we talk about the different iteration of music found in, for example, in funerals, in weddings, the way we kind of call for resistance in weddings and funerals, and in our parades and in our actual act of resistance. So it's just we're navigating different kind of things, different kind of situation, different kind of thing. And I like it because we make conversation, for example, between the wedding and the funeral. Because even the songs that we sing in weddings and funerals, they kind of similar when we call for, which is sad at the same time, but it's also very beautiful that we kind of consider a funeral a wedding. And I think it's a coping mechanism eventually to celebrate rather than, I mean, I don't think we want to celebrate because we want to celebrate the death. We don't celebrate death, but it's a way for us to deceive it. Because everything is about meaning, and I think so.
Because death is more common here than in most places.
Definitely, I mean, definitely, in a very kind of it's hard to do. It's actually hard to talk about it. But anyway, so the exhibition in itself is actually really powerful. It's just I would have thought that post the 7th, we would take. I mean, I wish I am in power to kind of make that change or think, but I think I thought that we would have moved forward toward a place where we kind of how can I phrase it, like prepare ourselves better for what's coming, to kind of contribute to the liberation and not to the image of the liberation.
Is that the role of the Palestinian artist right now, do you think?
It's the role of a Palestinian, including the Palestinian artists, I think. I do believe.
To prepare for liberation.
I think so. And I think I keep saying to our friends and around us, I mean, what's coming next, and everybody knows, it's going to be really hard and really dark. And if anybody of us wants to be here, we should not expect again, life to be of normalcy. Either we leave, and because we're expecting the worst, or you stay here and participate in what's coming. And like being an active member of the liberation process, whatever that means. We need to be able to understand what that means. I don't think we do understand what that means. I don't think we do understand what liberation means, including me. And we need to start thinking about it to figure it out. I mean, there is a movement happening in Palestine at the moment. It started from Gaza, and I think it reached Palestine, but only in I think in refugee camps. And I don't know, they have a means of controlling us better. I mean, closing a road, you close a city here. I think definitely that's the role of the artist at the moment. I think I don't think it's putting Palestine on the map. I don't think it's communicating to the whiteys around the world. I don't think we own anybody anything in that regard. I mean, we have our Palestinian diaspora. They are now making us proud all around the world, waving the watermelon all around. I mean, our project here is not to.
It's not that.
It's not that. No.
I see the distinction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I was telling you it's very important to have it outside. Let's do exhibition. Let's do art. Let's celebrate our culture, our identity, our knafe, our thawbs. We can do that here. Here they have no meaning at the moment. And for me, they have absolutely burn all the thawbs and destroy all the watermelon. They don't have any meaning. I mean, it really shocked me sometimes to see that Palestinian in Ramallah, they're waving a watermelon flag or whatever. We're like, why? What the fuck is happening? Why? Are we that alienated? I mean, really? That's it? I mean, we live it everyday life. It's there. The flag is there. The flag is. We don't even show. We don't even need to show it anymore. We know what it is. So, burn
the thawbs and the watermelons.
We don't need them anymore here. I really don't. They are elitist anyway. The thawbs. I really think I have a problem with them. I think because my grandmother, she didn't have a thawb. She was poor. So she didn't like them, so she passed that to us. I mean, she was selling us, like a Palestinian thawb. I mean, not everybody could afford most of them, they couldn't afford the Palestinian thawb. They was coming. I mean, if you listen to the song خيطت في حلب they were bringing the fabric from Aleppo and take it to Ajlon to
it's not a cheap process.
No, it's not really a cheap process. Of course, يعني عشان هيك eventually you can see like only the high end people they have it at that time. And I know that's still a very important representation of us, but I think we don't need to fetishize ourselves. Maybe later when we have whatever we had, this thing will become of
I see what you mean.
Ahmed
al-Alaqra, thank you so much
for
speaking with us today in Kalam podcast. It's getting hot here. I don't want to keep you for too much longer.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything that you'd like to add to our discussion?
I think just thanking you all again, guys.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.